Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sarah's Table. My name is Sarah Moore. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm going to be your game master and your favorite person and your host today on our adventure. It has been a really rainy and stormy and chilly week, and that always makes me want to curl up with a cup of tea and a cozy blanket and a good story. And you may notice that today I am all alone. There is no one here with me today. Something that I have wanted to do on Sarah's Table for quite some time is to focus a little bit on solo RPG work. It's something that I think is a very cool and interesting part of the industry. And it's something that I personally haven't seen a lot of time devoted to in actual play scenarios. I understand that a lot of solo RPGs are journaling RPGs, and you don't necessarily want to watch somebody just write in their journal for an hour. So I'm going to try to do something with that format, but in a slightly different way. I'm going to try to do it in a video blog kind of way with all of these prompts. I found a game called One Day at a Time, Thyme, like the herb. And it seems very witchy. It's by J.D. Marcade. It is a short game. It is 3 pages only. And I will be able to link you to how to get it, but it's a pay what you want. Definitely support them if you can. The suggested donation is $5. And, if you know anybody who is creative and who makes their living telling stories, $5 is super helpful. So make sure that if you decide that you're going to give this a go, that you support them appropriately. Here's how it goes. This is a cozy, whimsical solo journaling game in which you draw cards that detail the activities you do, people you encounter, objects you interact with, and events that occur throughout the day. You provide the context and record your response. The game ends when you want to rest, which I think is really super cool. This could be a game that you end up going through the entire deck of cards. You have the option of doing 52 activities. Depending on how you roll for the day, you roll a D6 to see how many activities that you do during the day. This could be as many as 52 days in the life of your PC that you have created. But it could also be much less than that. And I read some reviews, and people were talking about how this is a really great game to do at the end of the day. I'm just going to do 1 day's worth of activities in sort of a wind down or something to sort of get your brain kickstarted to make sure that you are in a good headspace for creativity. So while these kind of feel like writing prompts, because they are, but it's more in the realm of this sweet, witchy sort of role-playing game scenario. So you only need a couple things. You need 1 6-sided dice, or oh my goodness, excuse me. You all got to witness that delightful silly sneeze that I do. You're welcome. You need at least 1 6-sided die. I like to have a whole mess of them. This is a situation where, as I am working, I can leave the die out with the proper number up so that I know what I'm doing if I need to refer to it in a little bit. You need 1 standard deck of playing cards with all of the jokers removed. I happen to be using one that is connected to another role-playing game. It's It's the set that came as an add-on with the Oz 5e expansion that kickstarted recently. So it has really fun art on it, but that's not necessary. If any standard playing card set that you have will work. And then it also suggests that you need a journal or sheet of paper and a writing utensil. I have both of those with me. I may be making some notes, but my plan is, like I said, to just talk directly to you. We are telling this story together, you as the audience, me as the game master / player. I'm excited to get started. So the very first thing you do, you roll your 6-sided die to discover where your homey little cottage is located. All right, so I'm rolling my D6. I got a 4, which means that my homey little cottage is located in the desert. Take a moment to envision your home, starting with the walk leading up to it. Which direction does the front door face? How have you decorated the space just outside it? What sounds and scents drift toward you? Go inside. What can you see from the doorway? How is the lighting? Picture your furniture and flooring. Do you have any knickknacks? Do you have any pets? I think that my cottage in the middle of the desert is in sort of a bit of an oasis. One of the things that I would really love to be good at is plants and gardening. But anyone who knows me knows that I have like the biggest black thumb. I'm not good at plants. So in my role playing, I like to be good at plants. So I think that I am in a bit of an oasis. I think that there are palm trees. I think that there's a little pond near my house. I think that I have a riot of color. This is a cottage that is standing out amongst the landscape. I did not decorate it to be sand colored. I'm not trying to blend in. I think that there are rainbow colors. I think that I have just like a riot of cacti and flowers and because it's witchy and I'm saying I'm magic, I think I also have a lot of plants that don't thrive in the desert and that they are around. There's definitely a chimney. I think there's always a little bit of smoke coming from the top of it because I think my hearth is always going. My door, I think, is facing south. I don't have a reason for that. It just feels correct with a capital C for me. It's facing south. If you are coming to see me, you are probably coming up to the north. I don't know why. Inside, I think it's cozy and a little dark. I think that there's not a lot of the light filtering in unless I want it to. I'm sure that I have a lot of windows that I can open and maybe even a skylight so I can let that natural light in. But I think that this is a cozy, cool place to sort of shelter from the hot desert sun. And I definitely have a pet. I think I have a cat that feels right to me because I love cats. And I also think that I have like a desert fox friend who comes to visit, not necessarily an inside pet, but a desert fox that like hangs around on the outside. And I think it's filled with very comfortable, cushy places to land. It's very clean, but lived in. And I think I collect glass things. The idea that I could like turn some of that sand from out in the desert into beautiful things. It's very, very appealing to me. All right, we're going to get into our days. So the first thing you do is shuffle your deck of cards and set them face down. Now, I have already shuffled them quite a bit because it was a brand new deck that I had never used before, but I am going to give it another shuffle because I feel like now the intention of the game is being put into these cards. I know that sounds extra witchy and a little tarot-y, and I'm not going to say that that's not part of it for me. Also, it's just like very satisfying to shuffle a deck of cards. I really like the noise that it makes. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's really fun for me to shuffle cards, and I like doing it. All right. So I have shuffled them. I'm not looking at what they are. Okay. I'm going to now roll a d6 to see how many cards that I am drawing for day one. I rolled a 3. So I have 1, 2, 3, taking them out. Also, like, can we talk about how pretty the back of these cards are? They're like foiled and beautiful. Ugh, it makes me want to reread The Wizard of Oz. We're getting there. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay. All right. Now, before turning over each card, roll the die again to see what kind of experience you had involving these cards. There are 3 separate kinds of encounters that you can have during your day. So roll a 3, 2. Oh, perfect. And a 6, which means that I have 1 of each kind of encounter. So the first card is the 10 of Hearts. The Hearts suit is about your neighbors. And because I rolled a 3 on it, it is an unexpected encounter. Oh, awesome. An unexpected encounter with a voice issuing from a massive urn. Well, I love this idea. Okay, so first thing in the morning, I think today is going to be errand day, and I am out, maybe heading to the market so that I can get some things that I don't have that I grow on, near my house, and maybe dropping some things off, just out getting some exercise. And on the way back, I am passing a neighbor's house, and this voice interrupts my thoughts on the road, and sort of entreating, calling for help. I get very frustrated sounding, and I look around and spot this giant urn sitting near my neighbor's house. The voice doesn't seem familiar to me. I don't know who it is, but I cannot ignore a voice. Is this a talking urn? I mean, that there's magic here, so it absolutely could be an urn that is speaking, or someone could be inside the urn. I'm not sure. So I head over and look inside the urn, and it is empty, but this voice is continuing to speak with me, and I am able to have a conversation with it. And it's saying, I'm stuck. I'm trapped. Help, let me out. There's nothing inside this urn. I try turning it on its side. I try dumping it out, but it's truly an empty urn. Luckily, perhaps for this person, I'm a witch. And so I am able to determine that this voice is someone who is magically stuck in a pocket dimension. And the way to fix that is to poke a hole into that pocket dimension so that they can come out. I have to go gather things for that. This is, not an easy thing to do. And so I end up heading over I head back home. I get some of my special ingredients, lots of my spell components. I grab my familiar because she is exceedingly helpful. And I head back. The urn, still yelling, was a little upset that I had left it alone for so long. But honestly, I mean, it was only like an hour to gather everything, although I'm sure it's uncomfortable in that pocket dimension. So, oops. And I'm able to do a spell of sort of tearing into this other dimension, which is a tricky thing. I pull it off without a hitch, but closing that pocket is going to be kind of, maybe will have unexpected consequences. So I get into it, and this little creature comes out. I think that this creature is maybe some sort of lizard, like a Komodo dragon, perhaps. And he comes out and thanks me profusely. Well, I mean, complains that it took me so long, but does thank me. And his story about how he was able to get into this particular mess was that he lost a bet with someone who was a little bit more powerful than he thought they were. So when we couldn't pay his gambling debt, they locked him up in this pocket dimension, put him inside this urn, and the urn made its way here. I am going to say that because I like the idea of future conflict, I'm going to stitch up that tear into the pocket universe, but like maybe not get it all the way shut. I think there's a little tiny bit of it that is still seeping into this world inside that urn, which definitely will be fine, I'm sure. All right. Once I have finished that, I'm going to move on to my next encounter of the day. It is the King of Hearts. Whoa. The King of Hearts, delightful, little scarecrow, is a mystery, dilemma, or conflict. And it is a full portrait who travels through paintings. Love that. So I think my next stop is at the home of someone that I sell herbs and potions to on a regular basis. I have traveled on. I'm dropping off some very regular stuff that happens. I think that this house has a lot of children and maybe has a lot of servants. And so there's a lot of medicinal things that I would be dropping off, things to help with women's cycles, things to help with, a child who has fallen ill for some reason. And so I come in with my big basket of things. And there is a lot of paintings in their house. I think this is a very well-off family. I think they like to decorate with art a lot. And as I'm walking through the house, delivering things to different areas of the house, I notice out of the corner of my eye that there is this figure that keeps showing up in all of the paintings of the house, but like weirdly they don't look like they belong in these paintings. This isn't like, these are all family portraits and that's great granddad and he's in the background of everything. It's like, just like a landscape with a cloaked figure, and then weirdly the same cloaked figure in like the picture of a bustling city, and then the next one is a portrait of a child, and the cloaked figure is closer, and he's always sort of posed in this like strange, like he's peering out and waving at me and trying to get my attention. And finally, I've paused and I am waiting for payment for my last delivery, and notice that this figure is actually moving in the painting that I'm looking at. And this is not, a normal thing that can happen. So I start examining, and I kind of turn and look at the next painting, and after a few moments, the hooded figure appears. And finally, this cloaked hooded figure reveals, oh my goodness, I got excited. Bumped my ear right off. Reveals itself. It opens, takes its hood down, and I see that this hooded figure is actually the lady of this house. And come to think of it, I have been dealing exclusively with the servants and the children, and the lady of the house hasn't appeared. And she looks a little scared and frustrated and is gesturing at me, kind of frantically, and pointing at herself and pointing at the painting. And then she starts gesturing to her right. And so I look over, and there's another painting, and she appears in that painting. And then I look back at the current one that I'm looking at, and she's gone. And she sort of leads me through her paintings, through the house. It takes a bit of time because there are some places where there aren't as many paintings, and I have to sort of guess where she's going with the gestures. And I find myself in a room with a half finished painting. This is like the studio. And I find the lady of the house, her body is there, sort of frozen as if she is still painting, but her spirit is very clearly stuck inside the paintings. And I'm not quite sure how to get her out, because it doesn't seem like something that happens on a regular basis. And I, as a witch, have never encountered this before. I think that perhaps unintentionally, this particular woman has a touch of magical ability that she is not aware of. And she tries to find her, maybe, she tried to find her way out when she accidentally discovered that she was inside that painting. Maybe she worked a spell just inadvertently. She was humming. A lot of magic in this world is intention and focus. And when you are painting, you are also very focused. And so she accidentally put too much of herself in this painting. And so I think I have to come back to it, because I need to go do some research how to get her out of this painting. I'd like to say it feels correct for me to end this day, to go on to my other Seth without having fully fixed this problem. So I'm going to make a note that she's stuck in the painting. And this is one of those situations where if I was GMing a game with a table full of people, that this is one of those things that I would come back to, as well as the tear in the pocket universe, like a thread that I can weave back into future days and future stories and future parts of the story. And I want very much to treat this session as if I am GMing for myself, because I am. And so I don't feel like I need to fix every problem immediately. I think even in real life, that's not how things work. And in role-playing games, that's not how things work. So yes, I am going to say she's not quite fixed yet. And that may be a thing that I continue to weave in, hopefully. Let's see if I can keep that going. And besides, I had to leave because I have a planned encounter. I rolled a 6 for this next one, and it was planned, which means that I have something that has to happen. And it is the 9 of clubs. Oh, interesting. I always love how things sort of just like end up working together. This woman, stuck in paintings. My planned encounter for the day was that I was supposed to paint a mural on my wall. I think this is perfect. It sort of works together. So I go back home. I had already been planning on painting a mural on my wall. I think that the mural I was planning on painting was some sort of a landscape. Now, if I look outside my house, I have this beautiful desert, but I also think that my home originally was not in the desert. I ended up here by happenstance. I followed something that needed following, and I ended up here in this desert. And I don't know how long I will stay here in this cottage, but I originally come from the mountains, and I think I miss them terribly when I am gone. So I am ready to paint the mountains, and I have a whole side of my cottage that I have decided is going to be mountains. And as I'm painting, I'm humming and I'm putting intention into it, and I can, weaving a little bit of magic into it to the point where I feel like I can smell the mountain stream again, and I can sort of hear the wind that whistles through the passes, just like I did when I was a kid. I can feel it. It feels like I'm there. And once I have finished this painting, the lady of the house that I had been helping sort of cautiously appears. And now that she is here, I can work on this problem without having to head back to her house until I have sort of a more firm grasp on what needs to happen. I think that she is going to be with me for a while because this is a head scratcher. So I end up getting out all of my magical, all of my books and all of the scrolls and all of my personal journals, and try to find references to things that can make it work. And then I start sort of gathering ingredients. And I think that magic for me is very intuitive. And so I'm feeling my way through everything, and I'm starting to gather things, and I'm doing it. And while I'm doing it, I'm chatting with her. She can't talk back. She's not an auditory presence, but I can see her sort of being calmer as I'm working on this project in front of her and trying to puzzle through it. And I think I'm not going to solve this tonight. So I let her know kindly that I will come back to it in the morning, but sometimes your brain needs to sort of work on things. And so I'm going to let my body rest and my brain rest. And hopefully in the morning, I will have a better idea of how to free her from this. So that was day one. When you complete your journal entry, which is what we just did, set that entry's cards aside. We're going to roll the die again to see how many I draw for the next day. And this game ends when you exhaust the deck. So you may, of course, stop at any point before then, as I said. So day one, 3 activities. Seems like a really full day. It's a bit frustrating, I think. I think that I don't like leaving people who need me in the lurch, which if any of you know me in real life is like so incredibly just like me as a person, that I think it's very funny that I chose to do that in a role-playing situation. Although, you know, this is a safe place for me to do that and know that it will be okay. So let's see what happens on day 2. I'm going to roll my die. 5. Day 2 is a very full day. I have 5 activities. I'm going to give the deck one more quick shuffle. Make sure everything's nice and shuffled up. I'm going to draw 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is where it's very helpful to have a whole bunch of D6s, because I'm going to roll all 5 D6s at the same time this time instead of rolling them individually. I got a 1, a 2, a 4, a 2, and a 4. Oh my gosh, today filled with mysteries and unexpected encounters. No planned encounters for the day. I would bet waking up, I feel like this is a situation where I probably had planned a couple of encounters, and I now have a woman stuck in a painting living in the wall of my house. And so I think probably all of those planned encounters right out the window. First one is a 10 of clubs, or when I was little, I used to call this the 10 of puppy feet because I could never remember clubs. So you're welcome for that little insight. So the 10 of clubs is go to the farmer's market. Okay. I clearly am missing an ingredient to get this woman out of my wall and out of the paintings. And I think that the thing that I am missing is a particular kind of fruit that I don't have. I think I am trying to entice her with sweetness as part of the spell, entice her spirit with sweetness to come back out. And so I need strawberries, which for some reason I cannot get to grow in my little oasis garden. I don't know why. It's always eluding me. Maybe this is slightly mirroring real life in that I am desperately trying to grow strawberries on my back porch right now, and I just can't get them to do anything. I don't know. So I'm off to the farmer's market. I'm hoping that this will help. I get to the farmer's market, and the man who usually is there with strawberries just didn't show up today, which is frustrating because I know in my little witchy heart of hearts that that is the ingredient that is missing in this spell. So I have to spend some time figuring out what I can use instead of strawberries. And it needs to be fruity, but not overpowering. It needs to be sweet, but not cloying. I think the color is helpful. I think the color is useful for this to draw them back out. I think the red, that vibrant red is important. So I do end up settling on raspberries. The issue is that the raspberries that I can find are not, they're a little overripe. And so they're already starting to break down a bit. They're getting a little squishy and a little juicy. And while they look delicious, I'm already starting to have sort of my hands be stained by this. So let's see what happens after. Oh, it is another. Oh no, it's another club. It's a 5 of clubs. And the thing that happens is repair the roof. Now that is a problem. Okay, so I rush back home from the farmer's market. I have these raspberries. It took longer than I wanted it to because I was very focused. I knew I needed strawberries. I get back, I have raspberries. And when I return, there is a hole in my roof, which when I open up my front door, there's sand sort of everywhere and things have been scattered. And to make it worse, I am going to say that there is a bit of a windstorm, sandstorm happening in the desert. So if I don't repair this roof quickly, it's going to be bad for everybody. So I stash the raspberries. I don't want to lose those. I don't want them to be covered in sand. Wrap them up, store them. And then I spend a very frantic and sweaty and rushed, I'm going to say 40 minutes, like fixing my roof while things are being blown in everywhere. And it's not the best job that I've ever done, but it definitely will keep the sand out during this storm. And as soon as I am in a position where things are calmer and it is not storming outside, I can go up and repair that roof much better. But for now, it has done its job. And then I will have to spend some time cleaning everything up, regathering ingredients. There were some ingredients that I'm going to have to I have to wash off, I have to fix, I have to get things together. But finally, I have all of the ingredients that I feel like I need. Okay. Let's see what my unexpected encounter was. Ace of Hearts, which means that it is with a witch. Love that. Okay. I'm finally gathering everything together. I'm sitting down, getting ready to work this spell, which I hope is going to help. And someone starts banging on my door, which I'm just like already on edge. I huff and I head over to the door, throw it open, and someone comes tumbling inside. And it is a witch from, a local, one of the other desert cottages. We have worked together before a little, but not like a lot. She was caught out in this sandstorm, and I certainly can't leave her out there. My cottage was closest, and so she came here seeking refuge. this witch notices that I am setting up for a spell. Luckily, I hadn't really started anything yet, so nothing was interrupted, but she graciously offers her assistance. And I feel like I know her well enough that I would gladly use the help, use a little bit of her power to make sure that we can get through everything together, because this poor woman still stuck inside this terrible painting. I feel like it's not, wouldn't be great to be stuck in a painting, like seeing everything around you, not being able to do anything about it. So the witch and I sit down to do this spell. And the Jack of Spades happens, which is a cold snap. So I live in the desert. Desert generally very hot, except, in the middle of the night because there's no cover in order to hold the heat. But this is in the middle of the day. And while we are in the middle of working this spell, it is suddenly unnaturally cold, like ice starting to form on things. And the other witch stops in the middle of the spell, which you should, not a great thing to do in this universe. You need to finish your spells. You can't have sort of like half finished spells floating about. And things are starting to get very, very cold, shiveringly cold, like the kind of cold that you can feel down in your bones. Queen of Diamonds. So we have this half-finished spell. We have this woman stuck in the painting. We have a witch who has stumbled in looking for shelter and then stops in the middle. And the Queen of Diamonds is a feather the length of your arm. An unexpected encounter with a feather the length of your arm. And I think down my little chimney flew a huge bird. Just doesn't seem like they should fit down my chimney. And yet they are inside my cottage now, breaking things, trying to fly around. And one of their feathers detaches and floats to the ground, and it's huge. It's the length of my entire arm. I am not a large person, but I mean, it's very long. I mean, you stick your arm out. A bird who has plumage that length would be enormous. I managed to get this bird out my front door, close it again. So there's still a little bit of sand in there. Things are starting to die down. This feather has like a little glow to it. And I realize that the glow that I am seeing off of this feather is very similar to the glow that I saw from the tear into that pocket dimension. So whatever this bird is, this creature, it's probably escaped from not our universe. And that's probably my fault. Not great. I am able to convince the witch to help me finish the spell before we move on. And she helps me, and the woman comes out of the painting, her spirit. And I'm going to say I was able to put it into like a little jar I think I was expecting her to go out of the painting at her house and back into her body, but instead it's just this little jar. And the sandstorm dies down. Things go back to normal. It's still a little bit too cold, but I head back over to that woman's house. I'm able to put her spirit back into her body. She thanks me profusely. And I wish I could stay and enjoy that, but I do realize that I have caused a problem in general with this rip in the pocket dimension. So I head back home and I'm going to end my day so that I can sort of figure out what comes next. Okay, let's do another day. Let's do it. First, we roll the die. Ooh. Okay, another 5. This is going to be another very full day. One of the things that you can do apparently with this is that the days don't have to be consecutive days. So I personally just did day 1 and then day 2, but you can make your own dates for your journal entries. So I could have had those be 6 months apart or years apart, depending on what's going on. I could have chosen auspicious days. I could have chosen like my birthday and like the day that my magic came in and then Christmas or whatever I wanted to do. But I chose to do consecutive days. I'm going to do that again. Since I have 5, I'm going to roll all 5 and see what we get. We got a 5, a 2, a 4, a 6, and a 3. Let's recap. I failed to fully close a tear into a pocket dimension, which let out a giant bird creature. I was able to help a woman who had accidentally inserted her spirit into paintings, got her back out, feel good about that. But I do know that I have this mess with this pocket dimension. So I am trying very hard to fix that. I wake up first thing in the morning, ready to go. Okay, let's see what my encounters are. This is a planned encounter. 5 is a planned encounter, and it is the King of Diamonds. And the King of Diamonds is a flower crown. So I have a planned encounter with a flower crown. I'm going to say that today is a festival. Because just in general, like I love festivals. And also I really love them in RPG situations because there's so many opportunities. This festival is, say it's a fertility festival. And I am in charge of bringing a very special flower crown to put on whoever is going to be the queen of this fertility festival. I think that my cottage, because of the Oasis Garden and because it is helped with magic, has a lot of flowers that you would not be able to get anywhere else in this region. So I wake up early, still got this thing going on in the back of my head about like really needing to fix that pocket dimension tear. Definitely going to do it. But first, I weave this beautiful flower crown and I'm going to bring it to the festival site so that we can get things started. 3 of spades is a double rainbow. Oh, I love that. I love rainbows. Okay, I know. I know you can't tell that I love rainbows because it's not in my logo or anything. It's fine. So On the way over to the festival, as I am getting into the festival site, I have this flower crown and I look up and there's a beautiful double rainbow. There's just not a thing that you see very often. And I'm taking that as a very good sign that today is going to be maybe a better day than the previous days. Now, this is supposed to be a mystery. And I think that the double rainbow is ending. It ends in around the festival site. And now normally you don't see the end of a rainbow, even with magic in this particular magical realm. And it's kind of making stuff happen at this festival site. I think people are getting a little too excited. It's really heightening emotions. And while that can be really great, it's not a thing that we want here at a fertility festival. So I spend some time trying to figure out how to like dampen that effect. And yay! I need to turn to my friends, the sentient hive of bees. I go talk to them. They said that they saw a giant bird and that this giant bird was pulling on the rainbow, on this double rainbow, pulling the ends of it, which they found very confusing because normally you can't touch a rainbow, but this bird was able to do it. I still have this feather, it's a glowing feather. And so I zip back to my cottage. I bring it back and I'm going to be using it when I have the bees help me, use it as sort of a beacon for this creature. I feel like it's sort of like a rock for people who are familiar with lore, a rock, ROC, like just this massive bird. And it doesn't take too long for I put the glowing feather like between the bases of the rainbow and sort of like call to it and hope that it will call with magic. And it starts circling. The bees are not happy about this development. And so they skedaddle, which I don't blame them for. I am quite intimidated by the size of this bird and hope that it's not real angry at me. 4 of diamonds, a parcel with no return address. Okay, so here's how I've decided I'm going to fix it. Now, this is supposed to be a planned encounter, but I think that perhaps this is a spell. This is spell work that I do when I'm trying to like take things that are negative and banish them. And I think that this bird is starting to sort of work some havoc. I'm making up words now. Listen, it's exciting. So I get this little box out. And I think this bird really needs to go back into that pocket dimension. So I enchant the box. It's a little like parcel for mailing. And I place it in the center and I start calling to this giant bird with its feather. And I am able to entice it in, and it's a little bit of a struggle and it's a little bit messy and it's a bit of a spectacle, what with all of the people sort of gathering around and everybody's emotions being heightened. And I help this rock as it is heading down into this little parcel. It like it like shrinks down, it using that, just sort of like being sucked up like water down a drain. And so it heads, I mean, it really, for those of you who have seen a certain franchise where you bust ghosts, like it really looks like the trap, and it just like sucks it down into it. And as I'm going over, I have this idea, as much as I love the double rainbow, that perhaps the double rainbow is causing too much of a problem here because it has been altered by this bird. And so I also use it to suck the double rainbow into this little parcel, and I like wrap it up in pretty paper as if I'm going to mail it. I use the twine, and I write on it the pocket dimension as if I'm going to mail it there. And we have a pine cone that never touches the ground. I'm going to call back on my bee friends to help me with this. They create like a little cushion, and I'm able to place the package that has the rock and the double rainbows, and sort of like they cover the outside of it and float it along with me. And we get back to the pocket dimension, and we put it inside the tear that had just been getting bigger and bigger. And we put it inside, and I make sure this time that it is fully sealed, completely sealed. And right before I'm able to fully seal it, this little pine cone pops out, but I don't notice it. And when I have made sure that everything is fully sealed, I turn around, and there's this little pine cone that's just floating. And I don't want to go back into that pocket dimension because I don't know what else is in there, and it doesn't seem like a good idea. So I decide I'm going to take the pine cone home with me and keep it safe. It's very small. There's nothing else on it. It does float. I'm going to have it float in the corner until I can figure out how to plant it in my oasis garden. That is the end of day 3. Right. Good. So we have been going now for 3 days. I've gone through, a good chunk of the deck. I am going to give myself a brief bio break. So I will be gone for a few minutes. I think this is a good idea for you who are watching at home to snuggle yourself into a blanket while I'm gone, make yourself a cup of tea, get cozy, start thinking about the stories that you want to tell. And I will be back in a few minutes. Welcome back from the break. I chose to have some lemonade and I think about where I wanted to go from here with all of this. I love the idea of skipping around in time. So I am going to say that we did day 1, 2, and 3, and I'm skipping forward. I'm going to skip to several months later. I'm going to say that it's like a full year. I'm going to say a full year later. And I'm going to say that in that time, I was able to figure out how to plant or utilize this floating pine cone that never touches the ground. And it is currently growing into a sapling that is like, like a conifer that floats up above my oasis garden. So that is the changes that have happened for me since the last time that I had a chance to make a entry into my journal. I was clearly very busy. Let's see how many things happened today. 4 encounters. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think I'm going to get through this whole deck today as much as I would love to keep going because I really enjoy this game. But I think that we're going to do maybe 2 more days, maybe 3, depending on, tomorrow the only day is like 1 encounter, then we'll see. Let's roll out our 4 D6s. Really love how simple this game is. There aren't a ton of mechanics. So we're able to just... I don't even have to look at the rule section anymore. And now it's just checking out this very handy dandy chart that is page 3 of the thing. And it tells you everything that happens according to your cards. I rolled 2 5s and 2 3s today. Very strange. Just to remind myself and for those of us watching, 5s are planned encounters, 3s are unexpected encounters. So I'm starting my day with 2 very good planned encounters. The first one is the 8 of Hearts, which is a neighbor and it's an elemental. I think that there is a rock elemental that has moved in close, neighbor distance, and they get sand like in all their joints, and it's very frustrating for them. They don't love it. And so I once a week go over and I just sort of help this rock elemental, Rocky, we'll call him. I help him get all of the sand out of his joints and his, all of the little grooves in his body. And in exchange, he's very strong and he helps me lift a bunch of heavy stuff and move things around that I would normally not be able to do. So I head over there. Get him all cleaned out. It's not the most fun process, but it is very useful, and I want him to feel appreciated. And then it is a solar eclipse today. This is a planned event. This is a thing that we knew was coming, and it is also a very auspicious time for magic. It's a very powerful time. Everything is very charged when a solar eclipse happens. So after I get Rocky all situated, I head back to my oasis garden. I set myself up in the center of it, ready to go for the eclipse. The eclipse starts beeswax candle. As you remember, I have the sentient bee friends. I think the hive of sentient bees has moved into my oasis garden. It's a really nice place to be. And so I am able to harvest their wax and their honey anytime I need it. I obviously assist them and I make sure that they're doing okay with it. But I use this beeswax candle because something is a little strange with this particular solar eclipse. The eclipse is starting to like create issues with the hive. They aren't handling the unexpected darkness well, but it's also causing them a lot of distress. And so I am using this beeswax candle to sort of work a calming spell for them. The 8 of, oh no, okay, there is an unexpected event, and it is strange lights in the sky. So the solar eclipse happens. It's a full solar eclipse. The world is plunged into darkness. As a witch, I knew this was coming. I'm not concerned about it whatsoever. But I should have maybe taken some more of my cues from this hive of bees. They are very upset, and more upset than you normally would be in darkness. And there's some strange lights happening, some very like almost kind of northern light aurora borealis sort of situations happening during the solar eclipse. And it's truly beautiful, but I don't know where it's coming from. And it doesn't feel at all. It doesn't feel malevolent. It feels like something is celebrating. And I was able to calm down my hive friends, and I'm just sort of basking in this joyous celebration of magic and life and the world around me. And when I open myself up to all of this, it feels like really lovely. And the solar eclipse passes, the light comes, the normal sunlight comes back, and the borealis lights fade from the sky. And I just feel really recharged and replenished, and like my magic feels strong, and it's a really comforting feeling. And I sort of spend the rest of the day just really enjoying that and just kind of just loving it. Just a nice day. What a lovely day. I am a touch concerned that the next day will not be nearly as lovely. Only 2 events for this day. I'm going to say that it is day 5. It's the 5th day that we are recording. However, as you remember, there was a year between day 3 and day 4. So 1, 2, rolling my 2 d6s. I got a 2 and a 5, which is a mystery and a planned encounter. I'm starting my day with the mystery, which is the Jack of Hearts. And that is a mouse with a sword. That seems very mysterious. Why does a mouse have a sword? I wake up the next day after the solar eclipse, feeling wonderful. And there is a little mouse standing on my chest as I wake up. You know how cats do that to wake you up? This little mouse just standing right here, and he's got a sword, and he is filled with righteous indignation. And through a brief conversation, we discover that the lights that were in the sky yesterday awakened magic in some creatures that didn't previously have it. And suddenly this mouse has the ability to communicate with humans and witches and non-mouse folk. And he doesn't really know what to do with that. That would be very, very overwhelming, I think, to suddenly discover that like you just know an entirely different language and how that would do it. And he wanted to defend himself because it was scary. And I think I spend the morning, talking to him through magic and gaining his trust. And there's absolutely a space in my cottage's wall that he can set up himself and his family, should he have one. We can cohabitate. I think that it would be very helpful to have a tiny, fierce protector on my property. So by the afternoon, he is just, one of the family, I guess. I did have to have a good conversation with my cat about the fact that it is not appropriate to eat this mouse, even though he did seem threatening at the beginning. He is now a friend, and you two can work together. She got a little jealous that I would be chatting with another animal, but as I assured her, she is my familiar. Don't worry, we're good. So my planned encounter of the day. I don't know how this is a planned encounter. This is wonderful. It's a case of mistaken identity. It's a planned encounter of the day. Okay, perhaps there's a case of mistaken identity during a planned encounter, but I do love the idea that like I went out with the idea of like mistaking someone for someone else. Oh my gosh. I can't make that go away in my brain. So I just feel like, okay, I'm back. I promise I'm back. Okay. So I'm going to go with the one that makes more sense. I head out to a job. I go to the place I am supposed to go to. I am supposed to deliver a potion, a health potion to someone. And I get to their house. It is a place that I have gone before. And it happens to be a place that I have not gone very often. I think this is probably a family that I very rarely am in contact with. And so it's been quite some time since I have seen them last, couple of years probably. And I head in and they answer the door. They're very sweet. I deliver them their health potion. And I'm heading back. And on the way back, I see someone on the road and they flag me down and they're like, oh, I can't wait. You were just coming to the house. So do you happen to have my health potion? You can just give it to me here. I'm a little confused because I already delivered it. And it turns out that they have a twin sister that I didn't know about. And I delivered the health potion to them. and they took it. So, obviously it's not gonna help. So I have to bring this person back to my cottage and whip up another one. So I didn't bring any spares. She's very nice about it. Oh, it happens all the time. Everybody's always thinking that I am my sister and my sister is me, and she's visiting. But I did hear later that there was a little bit of a kerfuffle because, like, the sister shouldn't have taken the potion. She knew that it was for somebody else. So, I'm sure that's going to hopefully not be a problem in the future. Let's do another day. That was only 2. I'm going to do another day. So let's roll. 6. This is going to be a very full day. Okay. I know I said I wasn't going to get through this whole deck, but man, we're about halfway through the deck now. This game is going much faster than I anticipated. 4, 5, 6. Goodness me. Okay. Oh, and I just threw all the other cards on the ground. Just seems like a sign to stop choosing cards. Good job. Good job, Sarah. I did it. All right, rolling out my 6. 1, 6, 2, 1, 2, 1. Lots of ones, lots of mysteries. And the 2s are mysteries as well. Well, we have 1 planned encounter and a ton of mysteries or dilemmas or conflicts. Oh boy, today, let's see what happens. My first mystery, I start my day with the 6 of clubs, 6 of puppy feet. I'm going to take a walk. Yeah, I think I walk around a lot. I think I do lots of walking. I think, obviously, none of the animals that I have near me are riding animals. Although I do think that there's probably a camel that I can use at some points in my journeys, but and obviously witches don't fly. I mean, that's silly. So I do a lot of walking. The nice thing about that is that I am generally fairly in shape. 10 of spades is a neighbor asks for your help. That is the planned event. I think that often neighbors ask me to help them. I think that I do a lot of the traditional role of the wise woman in the village. I think that I live, further out in the desert than everybody else, but that I spend a lot of time helping folk with whatever it is that they might need. I think that I also end up helping folk with a lot of things that are kind of embarrassing. Like, I think people don't want to necessarily talk about it. Today I am helping a snail rider, which I love. It makes me think very much of Never Ending Story with the racing snail. They have a problem, and their problem is with another one of our neighbors who is an antlered person. Just a regular person, but they happen to have antlers, and the snail rider and the antlered person are in conflict about the county fair. And the county fair is coming up. It happens. It's a yearly event. It is something that the whole community looks forward to. Everybody loves it. People travel in from far away. It is another one of these festivals. And it's also really important for commerce and for trade and for networking. I think there's also a lot of chance for romance because people are coming in that are not in your community. And I think that the thing that the snail rider and the antlered person have a problem with is that they both are in love with the same person. And this person is going to be in for the county fair. And the snail rider and the antlered person were incredibly good friends, and now it's causing this huge rift between them and the person that they are in love with. He's a robed figure in a swirl of floating flowers. They are not exactly human. I believe that they are probably some sort of a fae creature, but it's unclear if this creature has any feelings for either of them or can have any feelings for either of them. And in fact, the more that you look at this person, sort of everybody around them gets a little love struck. And this creature is sort of impish and mischievous and likes to sow little conflicts among everyone. And unfortunately, our snail rider and our antlered person are like, it's tearing them apart. And I don't like to see that. These people were so close that they were practically brothers. And so I can't let this mischief get between them. And I think I need to do a spell for clarity. And I think that I need to get them in the same room so that they can sit down, get this clarity, and then really talk it out. It's important to let people know how you're feeling. Everybody's feelings are hurt right now, and they're super jealous and upset with each other. And I'm able to give them both a hot drink that is really a potion. And I'm going to say that it's, sort of like a hot chocolate kind of concoction, because listen, sometimes medicine goes down a little bit sweeter, a little bit easier with a spoonful of sugar. Mary Poppins taught me that. And so I have that rich, milky milk chocolate, and it's got this potion for clarity in it. And, I don't know about you, but like a cup of hot tea or a cup of hot chocolate sometimes is like very helpful for me to center and figure it out. So they both have this clarity, and I can see it kind of clearing. Their eyes are starting to focus in a much better way. And I get them together and they start talking. And it turns out that neither one of them can ever really pinpoint them having like actual interactions with this robed figure. It's just the feeling that they get when they look at them, and they feel like they have sort of a much deeper connection with them. Sort of like, people who misconstrue celebrities, you see people who are celebrities so often, and you hear all these things about the personal life that you kind of like start to think that you know them, when in fact you do not. But this was augmented by magic. And they're able to hash it out, and they apologize to each other, and they say, we're not gonna let this come between us anymore. But just for safety, I give them each a little charm that they can wear around their neck, that will keep them sort of protected from that sort of issue. And I do see the robed figure later at the county fair, and I'm not going to really do anything to them because they're just doing their nature. You don't blame the wolf for being a hunter, and so you should not blame this figure for causing mischief. But I do notice that there are more people coming up to me asking for little charms to assist with dealing with that sort of clarity. Business is booming. It's pretty good. Gotta do another day. One more day. I have enough cards that aren't enough for three cards. Okay. Oh man, Just like it. Digging this game. I hope you guys are liking watching this game. And I hope that it is inspiring you to do this game, because this is such a fun, just like a fun little thing. I like it. I'm gonna roll my 3 dice. 1, 3, and 3. Boop, 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 boop. Which is a mystery and 2 unexpected encounters. I feel like my life as a witch, and maybe this is indicative of how witches in this particular world work, but like, it seems like not a lot of things are expected for me. I don't plan a lot of stuff. I just sort of like go around. My mystery involves a ghost. Okay. It's the day after the county fair, maybe even day 2 of the county fair. This is probably a multi-day kind of thing. So I get called in to an area of the county fair that is supposed to be where all of the children are playing. And there is a ghost who's in the middle of it. See what kind of problems they're causing. Okay. Do some mending. Yes. So the ghost is, I don't think it's a malevolent spirit. I think this is not malicious. I think that this ghost is here, sort of an echo of who they were during their life. And I think that this ghost is trying to finish, just going through its motions. It's finishing up what happened in its life. And this particular ghost was a tailor. And this ghost never had any children. And that was always something that bothered her. She wanted to have a bunch of kids and she loved kids. And so the idea that all of these kids are in her area is like so exciting to her, and she wants to make clothes for all of them. Unfortunately, that means that she is sort of sticking them in one spot and like continuing to keep, like she's trying to like mend their clothes and change their clothes into what she would have designed. And frankly, it's kind of freaking the kids out a little bit. You know, they're not enjoying this particular situation. And there's a thunderstorm rolling in. More children are in the area. They're trying to take shelter. It's starting to rain heavily, which is not causing any problems for the ghost because rain goes right through them. But it is causing problems for these kids who can't get out and they're sort of stuck, and it's not super safe to be out when there's lightning, and trying to get the kids to shelter. And so I am tasked with helping this ghost pass on to the next life. And oh boy, she's really stubborn and she doesn't want to leave. She thinks she just has more business to attend to. And I am able to convince her that these children are not safe here. And I know that she wouldn't want them to be in harm's way. We're able to get all the kids to safety. I am drenched and there is a ton of lightning striking close, and it's thunder is so loud and there's trees falling. And like, I think I get hurt. A branch hits me. I am not in a great state. I think maybe I have a broken arm, and I am in a lot of pain. And the ghost sees this, and the way that she can help is that she can whip up a sling for me, and she is able to help me sort of bind my arm to me until I can get home to start healing. And she comes with, and I think she stays. I think that she was lonely, and I think she was lonely in life, and so she is going to stay with me in my cottage for as long as she would like until she wants to pass on. And I think that it helps her feel like she has a little bit of a purpose, and she watches over me as my arm heals and continues to make new slings for me, and then starts sort of, getting a little bit fancier with it, embroidering things on my clothes. And so I have sort of these, like, all of my wardrobe is kind of imbued with the spirit of her. And I think she stays with me for a long time. Yeah, I love that. I love that the sort of family that I've built, which is very strange, is a cat and a rock elemental who is a neighbor, and there's a mouse family who has swords and a sentient hive of bees in the back, and now a ghost who's helping me, and a desert fox. And I think this game, I'm probably going to finish the game. I'm not going to do it on stream, but I do have a Ko-Fi, and I think I'm probably going to write the rest of it over there. It's Pixies and Pins is where I am on Ko-Fi. And I think that this is like a really cool, it's just like a really cool prompt game. I started, I really felt like I got into the flow of it after I had done, a couple days of the prompts, where it felt much easier for me to start combining all of them together into, like, each day, all of these things sort of connect to each other. And I don't know that was exactly what the idea was for this particular, the way it was written, but it made a lot of sense to me. I also know that you could absolutely take each one of them completely separately, each card, and it would be, just as enchanting and cozy and sweet. I also feel like, because this is a world of magic and everything is just so many prompts, that you could absolutely make this be, much spookier, if that is what you lean toward. If you like the idea of having sort of more creep factor in it, it could super lean that way, because there are ghosts and there are pocket dimensions, and this could be a lot more Stranger Things and a lot less Miyazaki, if that's what you were going for. I personally don't like as many aspects of horror. I don't like being scared. I like being cozy and safe. So that's sort of where I lean. But I think this game is a delight. And I really feel like it is something that that any storyteller can use as a tool. I think solo RPGs in general, I feel like, are super interesting and very useful for anybody who identifies as DM. Like, if you are a forever DM, and I know that sometimes you can get into a space where maybe you're kind of tapped out a little bit on ideas if you are always running. It's a different part of your brain when you are crafting the story in that way. And I know that you are telling stories together as a table, right? It's collective and it's collaborative, but when it comes down to it, the framework is something that you have to come up with as the DM. Or, like, if you have a campaign, you have like a long running campaign, you have to juggle and keep in mind a lot of different pieces of information. And so if you can come to a solo RPG situation, this feels like something that has helped my brain kind of refresh, right? I came into this game knowing the idea of what it was and knowing that there were prompts, and then using those prompts to tell the story that I wanted to tell. And I didn't know what story I wanted to tell until I started drawing those cards. I think that is super, super helpful. And I would be very interested if any of you have played this game. Again, it's called One Day at a Time, Thyme. Look at it. Look how cute. It's like that. Or if there are other solo RPGs that you have played, I would love for you to share those with me, because I am super interested in and having more of these to have in my repertoire. I know I have had 1,000-Year-Old Vampire sort of recommended to me before, but I don't know a ton of other like solo RPGs. I know that there's one called Fetch, which I'm interested in, which is by Grant Howitt, and it's about a bunch of about your body was like stolen by fairies and you were replaced by a fetch. And as that fetch, you realize that you are a magical construct and you have to find your body again. And I know that solo RPGs can get pretty heavy. They're very introspective. And there's a lot of times that it sort of forces you to look at yourself in a way that you maybe are not super comfortable with. This particular one day at a time, you can put as much of yourself in it as you want, but it is designed to be very cozy. I mean, it's right there, and it's a fourth word in its description. So you don't have to get super into it that way. You know, these are not therapy, but I also do realize that, like, as a storyteller, you put a lot of yourself into these because that's what you know, and that is the lens that you are looking through. And I think that's like really beautiful as a storytelling mechanic, be able to put yourself out there on the plate for anybody to see. And if you're doing a solo RPG, it's a safer place for you to do that, where you might not be as comfortable doing it at a table full of friends. Although I would argue that the people that you share your table with, your chosen family, your people that you engage in joyful gaming with, should absolutely be people that you trust. And I would hope that they would trust you too, because when you are telling stories, you are vulnerable. And that is what makes a good story. So I hope that you are surrounding yourself with people who will help you tell beautiful stories. And I hope that at some point you share those stories with the rest of us. But if they're just for you, that's okay too. This is a little bit of a shorter episode, but this feels like a natural breaking point for me. So I'm really thankful that you all stuck with me on this sort of more experimental night, because I know that you're used to tuning in to me laughing with a bunch of shenanigans with, other smiling faces. And it means a lot to me that you would hang out with me tonight all by myself. Normally I do moments of gratitude here. And I think that I'm just thankful that you're all here. And I would like to say thank you to my partner, Jeff, who is my tech person, who is turning this into what you are seeing right now. I was very nervous about doing an episode all by myself, and he said, don't be silly. They're going to want to hang out with you. So I hope he's right. I would also like to thank Gen Con for giving me this platform. I love doing Sarah's Table, and I'm so excited to continue to do it. Next week, we are going to be playing Dune. and Modifius is sponsoring us. So we are going to have a table full of folk, and we are going to run through their starting adventure, the new box set that is out this month. So come check that out. I stole Peter Atkinson to be at my table, and I'm hoping to make him do very silly things because that always brings me joy. Thank you to JD Marcade. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Maybe Jei. This was such a delightful game to play, and I definitely will be doing more of it. I definitely want to finish the rest of the deck, and I love that because it is so randomized and you use your dice and you use your cards that I could play this game multiple times and it would be different every time. Yeah, thank you for watching. You can find me on Facebook at Actor Sarah Moore. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter and Ko-Fi and TikTok at Pixies and Pins. You can find me over at World of Chaldea, which is at World of Chaldea at all of the socials, on Actoroki, as well as just in general. I am their social media princess, and so I do a lot of stuff. You can go check out my face a lot. And you can find me here on twitch.tv/GenConTV every Friday night at 5 p.m. Pacific on Sarah's table. And if there's a game that you are interested in seeing me play, like, please ping me and let me know. I want to know what games are bringing you joy at your table. So yeah, do that. I think I'm all wrapped up. So thanks so much. And as always, keep making art and keep being art. We will see you next time.